So this quad's a little bit different in quite a few ways actually. One, you could take it apart, so you just simply slide that little slider in the center here over, and then you can pull the sort of motor pods off, and this got built-in prop guards, and then you can pull it apart again, and then you can do the same on the other side as well. I'm not quite understanding why, unless I suppose you could store it a bit smaller in a bag or something or other, but it's quite a flat sort of profile quad anyway, so it's really not a problem, I wouldn't have thought, for transporting around. I'll just pop this back together. And the other thing you can do with it, they're only going one way, they're sort of they've got a little slot that they go into and a little tab sticking up, so you can't possibly put them on around the wrong way. You've got a removable battery here. It's coming, there we go. So you can take out your battery, and also you can take out the camera module. And again, not entirely sure, unless you can upgrade the camera, or if you get one without a camera you could buy one afterwards, but they've got these little sort of slots here that it goes into, and that just holds it nicely into position. You sort of hear it click in. And then the battery is proprietary battery, and you get a little charger for it as well, obviously, and it just simply slots back in, so it goes down into there, and it's quite tight actually to sort of get it. There we go. And then all of a sudden it all just slots in together and comes back together. I mean, personally I wouldn't really take it apart, but it's up to you really. I would have thought that was better to transport around rather than sort of the square bits and the chance of losing one of your motor pods, which means you can't fly then. The battery charges up through here, and you plug in a little USB adapter and you plug it into there, and then that's actually how it charges. So it has to charge on board as well, so you can't even get a spare battery to sort of swap back and forwards, I don't think, anyway. And if you could get a battery, you would only be able to charge it up on board. There didn't seem a way around it without quite a convoluted way of making up little clips and everything. So yeah, that's the way it is. It's obviously just designed like that. That's its design. Got quite a small little transmitter. You've got the on-off switch inside here, and this is really loud, so it turns it on and off there. Just going to run through the functions on the transmitter. If you want to change it from mode 2 to mode 1, mode 2 means in flight this is our throttle, so we go up and down, and if we want it to turn right and left, we go right and left with that one. This is the direction stick, so this basically goes forward, comes backwards, goes right and goes left. It's got headless mode on this one, which you hold this down for 2 seconds and then it will beep and go into headless mode, and then doesn't matter what orientation the quad is in, it's from where we started facing out. Basically you would start the quad like that and bind it, then that is always forwards. So even if the quad's round at an angle, that's forward, backwards, right and left. So that's all headless means. It can point in any direction, but basically it's going to do those movements for you. The other thing you've got on here is, and if you just press this once, you get a return to home, so it will start to head back to home. I don't think this would fly that far away that you'd need that, and it's not going to be very accurate because it hasn't got a GPS system on it. These ones are all trim buttons, so you can set the trims if it's not behaving properly. If you want to calibrate the gyro, so you've had an accident and or it's just flying and drifting around, always in one direction, or it's just not performing properly, basically, put it on somewhere level, bind it all up, and then pull these 2 sticks down and left. You get flashing LEDs, and then it calibrates the gyro. Don't move it while it's doing it, and then that should cure it. If not, you might have to trim it using the trim adjustment ones here. This one here is auto takeoff. You just press it once, it auto takes off. Press it again, auto land. When it's coming into land, you can choose a direction. You can change it where it's going, and if you give it some throttle, that usually cancels the auto land. If you're in a real panic situation, I don't know, you're going to hit something and you can't get out of it or anything, or you just want the quad to drop to the floor because you're just lost, then hold these 2 down for a second or so, and then it will kill the motors. It will drop out of the sky for you. It's got 3 different rates, and we click here to change the rates, and it's cyclical, so it'll run through the 3 rates, and that's it really. So I've charged the battery up on the quad so that we get a full length flight with it. And put the quad on first of all. You get the flashing LEDs. Once we put it down, they go into a slow pulse there, as you can see. And I'm going to turn the transmitter on, and then they pulse really fast. And then we go up and down on the throttle, and then they stop flashing. So we've got we're bound and we're ready to go. And just show that. Pull those down now, as I said, for arming, and the same to disarm. And then we're going to go on to the app, but before we do that, just make sure your Wi-Fi's picked it up. If you haven't logged on to it already, there's no password or anything, and you just log on to the Gteng FPV, and then it'll have some numbers behind for the actual model. We're already connected. If not, just simply click it and then connect. And then onto the actual app, which is called Gteng FPV. Launch the app. Go into play, because that's basically what we're going to do. And there we are, we're all live, so that's pretty good. Yeah, so that's fine, all working well. Now, at the moment, because we've got the controls here, you would be operating it with your phone and the app, so we need to turn those off. So you just press this off one there, and then now we're just using it for FPV. So I'm going to start the actual video going. Let's take it for a flight. So this one unusually starts in intermediate rates, and I'm just going to click that around to make it a bit more comfortable for me to see. So you pull them down and out, and it's when you let them go back in, then it'll actually arm ready to go. Let's try the auto takeoff. Well, yeah, that's not too anxious. Sometimes they pump up really high and really fast. That is a very slow fly. That's in intermediate rates. Oh, that is slow. And we've hardly got any breeze in the garden at all, if any. A tiny bit, as you can see, it's just moving slightly, but gee whiz, that is a slow fly. So great if you're a beginner. And these things are really so, God, that is so slow against the breeze, the wind is safe. You're not going to damage anything on you or anything, I would hope. Let's pop the rates up. So I'm going to press this one. That's into high rates. That's a bit better. Yeah, that's with the wind, gentle breeze behind it. That's against the breeze. Oh. Okay, I'm going to try this in low rates, just to see how slow it is. There we go, so now we're in low rates. Whoa! I think we're just shooting in slow motion now. Look at this thing. Okay, it hardly even moves, that's on full pitch. So I think I'm going to keep this up in high rates. I mean, it probably is just basic beginners with this sort of quad. Let's see how we do range on the actual FPV. So I know that's going to be about 30 meters when it gets over there. Yeah, the FPV works quite well actually. So that's about 30 meters there. That's no problem at all. We've not got any drop out. Now I've got the long flight home. Yeah, there we go. It is nice and smooth though, so yeah, I can't really knock it. I usually like smooth for video. Let's just stop that and then just hit it. Still, like I say, breathe. There's quite a lot of sort of body work there, isn't there? So it's going to any breeze, and there really is nothing in this garden at all. Is going to make it do it. Oh wow, that is really. I'm on full pitch. I'm going to walk back to it actually. It's going to be easier. Let's start that video again. Oh, sorry, that was the wrong one. Ah! Oh, well, at least it did it. That proves it works well. Yeah, it's definitely breeze, not what's the name? Whoa, we're getting flashing LEDs. That was really quick. Right, let me just quickly show you the return to home. There we go. It's roughly going sort of over there-ish, and it would just keep on going. Let me show you headless mode. So hold this one down. There we go. That's in headless mode, so it doesn't matter what direction the quad's facing in. Forward is that way, right is that way, and you can spin it as you're doing it as well. And then left is this way, obviously, and then back is towards me. So I'm not a big fan of that, so I'm going to turn that off. And you get flashing LEDs to warn you you're in headless mode, but we've basically got it because the battery's low. It's not a very long flight. And we've got auto land as well, so simply press that and it'll just come in and land. Whenever it stops moving down, that's what will stop the motors. And if you try and auto take off, it won't do anything till you arm the motors. So let's just arm them that way this time. Whoa, that is low. There we go. So you just press the auto take off then. Yeah, so it's a really, really slow lethargic flyer, but extremely safe and very good for beginners, I would imagine. It's that's got to be what it's aimed at. Yeah, I would go around and fly around some loops, but I can't really see a lot of sense in it. And as for a range test, I mean, there would be no point in flying this 50-60 meters away, because it would just take so long to come back to you. You know, it'd just be incredible. Probably would do it okay, but it's just literally the I can walk backwards quicker. There we go. Yeah, so we're on 40 meters there, and that actually the Wi-Fi is holding really well. It's just the fact of how long it will take it to come home. Yeah, so I'm pulling that back as fast as I can. But like I say, it's easier to walk. Those flashing LEDs, I've got a distinct impression they just start way too early. I'll show you. So I've got the wind slightly behind me now. Oh no, sorry, let's go around that way, then the breeze is behind me, that's it. And I'll just show you how slow, oh, the battery's gone. I was going to say, I'll show you how slow this thing actually is. If you want to kill it as well, you just hold down these two buttons there, and that would just kill the motors instantly. So, okay, so this time I'm going to fly it on the app. So all you need to carry with you is the quad, which I've shown you can take apart, fit it in bags or pockets, however you like, and all you need is your phone with you, which we all seem to carry these days. So I'm going to turn the quad on first of all, and get the flashing LEDs, and then they go down to a slow pulse. There we go, so it's ready to bind. Just go on to your Wi-Fi settings again, and then go on to the Gteng FPV. Some reconnect automatically, some don't. It's just the way they work. And then back to the home page, start the Gteng FPV one, and then you come up with play. You get a warning there's no internet access. That's because the quad has just set up a Wi-Fi hotspot, and we're just connected to it from our phone, so it's just literally back and forwards. This doesn't use up any of your data or your roaming or anything like that, and you don't need any Wi-Fi anywhere else. This generates it all, and there we go, we're all ready to go. So we're nice and live there, as you can see. If you turn the controls off, or if it starts with the controls off, the LEDs will keep flashing because there's no control, so it's not actually bound to anything to work. So you just simply flick those on. You have to use the auto takeoff, auto landing, so you have to press this button here to actually to start this one. You've got the option of pulling the controls down and out, and this is exactly the same as what we had before. So we've got our throttle on this side and the direction one on that side. Let's give it a go. That's fine. And we've got altitude hold again. There's normally the let go of everything, it'll more or less sit there. Like I say, tiniest bit of breeze catches this thing. Let's pop the video on, and we can change the rates as well on this. So let's just pop that up to 100% and then turn off the controls there. It's actually not bad. I'm not sure that isn't faster than the other one when it was on the transmitter. I don't think it's far off, to be honest. Usually they're a bit slower, but that's actually working pretty good. Well, let's just do a bit of a selfie. There we go. So yeah, and the FPV works really well as well, as you can see. Doesn't seem to be much lag in it either, so which is good. It is only a little a little quad. Don't expect too much from these little ones. Not really fair to. You've got a control here that can send it on a mission, so you literally press this one and you draw a line and it will go where that line is. It's not something I'm fond of, but if that's what you want to do, it's fine. It doesn't remember where you've sent it, so it's you know, to me, I don't get it. Just being honest. I've done a video showing how you actually use apps to fly using an app, so that goes in far more depth than me. This is just to prove it actually works. And it works pretty well actually. It's quite a nice little app, which is nice because some of them aren't. You do get the flashing LEDs really early on this that it's running out of power, and it really isn't. There we go. It's quite a squirrely little thing, isn't it? Has a little scream at you if you do anything with it. There we go. And it's quite a narrow field of view. If I turn around where it is and then show you what my head cam sees, quite a big difference. For landing, you can just bring it into land just like that. So you can just pull the throttle right off and that will do it. but it's still actually running, so its descent is quite slow. So as soon as you let go, the throttle will pop back up again. And there is a kill button on this, same as we had on the other one. So you just simply hit that one, bonk, job done. You don't get any second chance with that. It's just press that button there and it's absolutely gone. So, yeah, no, that actually flies reasonably well on the app. Like I say, it almost had a little bit more go in it than it did flying it with the transmitter. You can also calibrate it as well. You've got the calibration ones here. You simply press that and then you get flashing LEDs for the calibration, and then it will stop. But we've got flashing LEDs anyway because of the low battery warning. That's all that's for. So.
Okay, so what do I think of it? Well, it's certainly not aimed at me as a pilot, obviously. It's aimed at a beginner, so somebody's first drone or perhaps second drone, something like that, but you're certainly new to flying. This would be a great indoor flyer, really safe. You do get a spare set of props with it, actually. I have no idea why, because if you could damage those props, I don't think there'd be anything left of your quad, to be honest. They're really well protected in there, and as you saw, you can bump it into yourself, and it's not going to do any damage at all. It'd be virtually impossible to get anything down in there. If you did get near the props, they're really flexible anyway, so they're not going to do any damage at all. And this thing doesn't have any go in it. I think it's get up and go, got up and went, to be honest. But if you're a beginner, that's definitely what you want. You want nice and slow, controlled flight, and that's what this gives you. The other thing you get with it accessory wise is you just get a screwdriver, so it's quite a simple sort of box that it comes in, and the charging method is a USB adapter here, so you can charge it in your car, from your computer, or a mains adapter, and then you simply just plug it into here, and it takes about an hour and a half to charge, I think, so seems quite a long time. And you have to have it all rigged up like this to charge the battery, so you couldn't have another battery and fly it. So I'm thinking that's a little bit of they've sort of missed out a little bit of a trick there, I think. You could obviously buy a couple of spare batteries, I suppose, but you can't fly while it's charging. So flight time is around 5 minutes, so it wasn't too bad, but you get the flashing LEDs really early, way too early, but that's just the way it works. So I would fly it till it drops to the ground, and even then it still had about 3.65 volts in it, so it still had loads of capacity. It wasn't going to damage the battery, so that's the main thing. The pulling apart is, coming apart is pretty good, I suppose, if that's what you want to do, but I think it's quite easy to transport around like this, to be perfectly honest. So really good little solid thing. Just could do with the levels being up a bit more, but like I say, keep banging on. It's for beginners, that's what it's for. The transmitter worked really well, and I'm not sure I did mention at the beginning there how to change it from mode 2 flying, which means the throttle's here, to change it to mode 1 flying, which means the throttle's here. What you do is just hold this one down here and then slide the power on, and that just swaps the controls around. I recommend, if you're new to flying, I would stick with flying mode 2. Every quad on the planet, as far as I know, will fly mode 2, and some of them you can change to mode 1, mode 3 and mode 4, but everything would definitely be able to fly mode 2 as far as I can know. So if you're a beginner to flying and you want something nice, a little bit different, and something that perhaps you can pack away, then yes, this could be the quad for you.